Police accuse black homeowner of breaking into his own mansion. Then the truth comes out. Marcus Williams pulled his black SUV into the driveway just after 9 p.m. The massive mansion stood at the end of a quiet street in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the city. For years, Marcus had dreamed of owning a home like this. Now, after building a successful technology company, he had finally achieved it. The purchase had closed only a week earlier. Most of the neighbors had never met him. Marcus stepped out of the SUV and opened the back. Several boxes were stacked inside. He grabbed the first one and carried it toward the front door. "Finally home," he said with a smile. As he unlocked the door, he noticed lights turning on in a nearby house. An older woman peeked through her curtains. Marcus didn't think much of it. He carried another box inside, then another, and another. Across the street, the woman continued watching. Something about the situation seemed suspicious to her. She picked up her phone. "Hello, police? I think someone is breaking into the mansion on Willow Drive." "What makes you think that, ma'am?" "I've never seen him before." "Can you describe him?" "He's a black male moving boxes into the house." The dispatcher thanked her and ended the call. 15 minutes later, flashing red and blue lights filled the street. Marcus had just returned to his SUV when he heard a voice. "Sir, step away from the house!" Marcus turned around. 3 police officers were approaching. "What?" "Step away from the property and show us your hands." Marcus slowly raised his hands. One officer moved toward him while another watched the house. "What's going on?" Marcus asked. "We received a report of a burglary in progress." Marcus stared at them. "A burglary?" "That's right." Marcus laughed in disbelief. "This is my house." The officers exchanged looks. Officer Daniels stepped forward. "You live here?" "Yes." "Can you prove it?" Marcus pointed toward the front door. "My documents are inside." The officer frowned. "Convenient." Marcus immediately realized what was happening. "You don't believe me. We're verifying your story." More neighbors began gathering outside. Some watched from their driveways. Others stood on their lawns. A few people started recording. Officer Daniels continued questioning him. "How long have you owned this property?" 1 week. "What's the address?" Marcus answered correctly. "How many bedrooms?" 7. "What color is the master bedroom?" Marcus sighed. "Seriously? Answer the question." "It's gray." The officer looked unconvinced. One neighbor whispered loudly, "I knew something looked wrong." Marcus heard every word. Another neighbor said, "Maybe he works for the moving company." Marcus shook his head. "No, I own the house." The comments kept coming. Someone laughed. Someone else whispered. Marcus could feel dozens of eyes staring at him. Officer Daniels finally spoke. "Sit on the curb while we verify your information." Marcus looked shocked. "You want me to sit on the curb outside my own house?" "Sir, cooperate." Reluctantly, Marcus sat down. The humiliation burned inside him. Across the street, phones continued recording. The videos were already appearing online. One teenager live streaming the incident spoke into his camera. "Guys, police think this dude is breaking into his own mansion." Thousands of viewers joined within minutes. Comments flooded the screen. "That's crazy." "No way. Keep filming." Meanwhile, Officer Daniels contacted dispatch. Several long minutes passed, then his radio crackled. "Property records confirm the home belongs to Marcus Williams." The officer looked surprised. "What?" "The owner is Marcus Williams." Daniels looked directly at Marcus. "Do you have identification?" Marcus pulled out his wallet. The officer compared the information. Everything matched. For a moment, nobody spoke. The neighbors suddenly became very quiet. Marcus slowly stood up. "So now do you believe me?" Officer Daniels cleared his throat. "It appears there was a misunderstanding." Marcus laughed. "A misunderstanding?" The crowd remained silent. "You made me sit on a curb in front of my own house because someone assumed I didn't belong here." No one had an answer. Just when it seemed the situation was over, a black luxury sedan pulled into the driveway. A sharply dressed man stepped out. The moment he saw Marcus, he hurried over. "Marcus, are you okay?" Officer Daniels looked confused. "Who are you?" The man extended his hand. "David Reynolds. I'm his attorney." The officers exchanged nervous looks. The attorney looked around at the crowd. "What exactly happened here?" Marcus smiled without humor. "They thought I was breaking into my own house." David stared at the officers. You're kidding. Nobody laughed. David's expression changed immediately. You detained a homeowner on his own property? The crowd began whispering again. For the first time, the officers looked uncomfortable, and things were about to get much worse. The next morning, Marcus woke up to dozens of missed calls. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Friends, business partners, employees, family members, everyone had seen the video. The teenager's live stream had exploded overnight. More than 3 million views. National news outlets had picked up the story. Marcus rubbed his eyes and opened social media. The first video he saw showed himself sitting on the curb while neighbors watched. Millions of people were commenting. Some were angry, others were sharing similar experiences. By noon, reporters had started arriving outside the mansion. News vans lined the street, cameras pointed toward the house. Marcus stepped outside. Immediately, reporters rushed toward him. Mr. Williams, do you have a statement? Do you believe race played a role in the incident? Marcus remained calm. I'm still processing what happened, a reporter asked. How did it feel to be accused of breaking into your own home? Marcus paused. Then he answered honestly. It was humiliating. The clip spread across the internet within minutes. Meanwhile, the police department faced growing pressure. The chief of police ordered an internal review. Investigators began examining body camera footage. At first, everything seemed routine. Then they found a recording from before the officers approached Marcus. Officer Daniels was looking at the mansion. One officer asked, Think he's the owner? Daniels laughed. No chance. The room reviewing the footage fell silent. Another officer said, Maybe he's a contractor. Daniels replied, We'll find out soon enough. The footage leaked. Everything changed. News channels replayed the clip nonstop. Public criticism intensified. The police chief called an emergency press conference. We are conducting a full investigation into the incident. Questions came from every direction. Will the officers be disciplined? Were department policies violated? What actions are being taken? The pressure continued building. That evening, something unexpected happened. The woman who had called the police knocked on Marcus's door. Marcus opened it. She looked nervous, very nervous. Mr. Williams? Yes? My name is Helen Parker. Marcus recognized her immediately. She was the neighbor who had called the police. Helen lowered her eyes. I came to apologize. Marcus said nothing. Tears appeared in her eyes. I made assumptions. The silence felt heavy. I saw someone I didn't recognize and immediately thought the worst. Marcus listened carefully. Helen continued. I embarrassed you. I hurt you. And I'm sorry. For several seconds, neither spoke. Finally, Marcus nodded. I appreciate you coming here. Relief appeared on her face. But Marcus wasn't finished. You know what hurt most? Helen shook her head. The fact that nobody asked me a simple question before assuming I didn't belong. Helen looked devastated. I understand, Marcus nodded. I hope you do. The next day, even bigger news emerged. Reporters discovered that Marcus had quietly donated millions of dollars to educational programs across the country. Schools, scholarships, community centers, youth programs. Stories began pouring in from people whose lives had changed because of his generosity. A college student appeared on television. Without Marcus Williams, I never would have attended university. A veteran spoke next. He helped fund housing for hundreds of former service members. Public opinion shifted even further. Marcus wasn't just a successful businessman, he was someone who spent years helping others. Weeks later, the city council invited Marcus to speak at a public meeting. The room was packed. Residents filled every seat. Police officials sat near the front. Cameras recorded everything. Marcus stepped to the podium. The room became silent. He looked around carefully. Then he began. This story was never really about a house. Everyone listened. It was about assumptions. Nobody moved. It was about deciding who belongs somewhere before learning who they are. Several people nodded. Marcus continued. We can build bigger homes. We can make more money. We can create better neighborhoods. He paused. But none of that matters if we refuse to see each other as human beings. The audience erupted into applause. Some people stood, others wiped away tears. The speech quickly went viral. Millions watched it online. Months later, Marcus finally settled into his mansion. But something had changed. The neighbors who once doubted him now greeted him every morning. Children rode bicycles past his house and waved. Families invited him to community events. And every time Marcus looked around the neighborhood, he remembered one important lesson. Sometimes the biggest walls aren't built from bricks. They're built from assumptions. And those walls can only come down when people choose to truly see one another. The end.